Hello there, Outliers. Niiamah Ashong here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. Today, we are focusing in on one Outliers journey, and that Outlier is Delfina Correia. Delfina, I just wanted to say thank you so much for spending the time here to share your experience, share the way that you look at the world, and to continue helping us up level in our leadership and beyond. Delfina, it's an absolute pleasure for you to have you here on this conversation.
Thank you very much, Niiamah. It's wonderful to be with you today.
Yeah, it's good to be with you. And, we ended up taking some time to be with each other before we hit record. We've had the pleasure of getting to know each other over the last few weeks here. And one of the things I get about you is that you get power and you yourself like embody that power in your way here. And there's the thing that I have already taken from you is one, your ability to slow down, but B, your ability to like slow down into like the powerful distinctions to make sure that like
Right.
the surface level doesn't just get like doesn't get washed away or kind of just kept in it, but instead to be able to find like a path that is it may be more narrow than other people's paths,
All
but at
right.
the same time, like infinitely wide when it's yours. And so I wanted to say thank you here. We got like slowing down with you. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm really grateful that Outliers got a chance to get to know you and the game that you're playing right now.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I shared a bit about how, like, who you've been to me. I want you to share a bit about like how you show up in the world to outliers out there. Can you tell us a bit about you, the mission you're on, and the game that you're playing right now?
Yeah. Yes, my company is called Be Made Whole Leadership Institute, and my passion and my target is people transformation, business transformation, and any personal transformation as well as nation transformation. And it begins with a person. And building up to nations is where my target is. Working in the political arena with politicians is a large part of that, because everything flows down, all leadership flows down, all influence flows down. And the world is in desperate need of real leadership. We have a serious deficit, and that's where I find my role is in dealing with leaders to make that difference, so that the values can flow down from leadership to those who are working under them and with them.
So let's take off from here because right before we hit record, we were having some. I was actually asking a couple of different questions around like just to get some distinction from you
Yes.
around like the types of leaders who like really thrive with you. And you brought in something that you brought in a distinction I had never heard about before. I never thought about. It wasn't just about politicians. It was about a completely different like level beyond that. So would you mind like bringing that distinction into the conversation so we can continue to play with it as needed here?
Yes, in politics, we get what we call a politician. That's the general term used. But really, there are two kinds of politicians that you get. There is what we call, here in South Africa, we call it a career politician. That is the typical politician you get in the world. It's probably, I would say, the majority of them, where it's a career. They decide, I'm going to do this because there's money, there's recognition, there's a whole lot of power that comes with it. But it's very much inward focused. It's all about self. It's a selfish way to lead. It's a selfish motive to have. It's such a huge influence that they have, and so much power with the wrong motive. And then you get another kind of politician. There's not as many of them, and that is what we call in South Africa here, we call it a statesman. A statesman, a good example of a statesman was Nelson Mandela, that everybody knows. There was a statesman who everything he did was for his nation. There's so many stories of all the things, all the unselfishness that he displayed in terms of his leadership. It was all about bringing a nation together, and it was all about making a difference in the lives of his people, not in his own life. And that's the difference. And really, the statesman in the world today is there's much less of statesmen than what there are of a statesperson, at least. Let me just correct that. It can be a woman too. So just to put that straight, a statesperson is there's few of them, but there's so many career politicians, and the career politicians are really the ones who get a lot more airtime and support. And I don't know how that happens, but you see a lot more of that. And then the statesperson is always up against opposition. They're up against difficulty because there's not support for that the same way, because you've got, it's like the one is focused on good and the other one is focused on self, which is really I would call it even an evil motive. There's not really, it's like the good against evil, and a statesperson is always waging that war, and they need support. They need uh, uh, people behind them who will keep them moving and strengthen them, so that the fight that they fight, which is really good is greater than evil, but for them to fight the good fight on that level, because evil is well practiced, as you can see in the world, and evil is fighting on a much higher level than what good is fighting in this world. And the good needs to discover how powerful they really are to fight on that level. And as a statesperson, the support is needed, and that's the support that I want to be in the political arena.
Thank you, Delphina. I'm grateful you brought this in here because
Mm,
it gives context to everything that you do here. Like, it
yeah.
gives context to that, like what leadership really means for you. For me, like we
Mm,
were talking, like I feel it puts you in a lane of your own, like a world
yeah.
like in your own space there, because
Mm,
there's a reason for it. There's a reason behind all
mm,
this here. Um,
mm.
do you mind if I share something that came to me while you were speaking
Yeah,
right there? You
sure.
and Outliers, like we're gonna have this conversation. We're gonna stay in the space of the political like politics or political arena or
Mm,
politician.
mm,
But I get that you work with leaders. And I felt one of the things that I got as a result of you sharing just this bit right
mm,
here
mm.
was
Right.
in my business. Someone had earlier asked me, like, who do you serve? What do you do? Like, they asked me some questions I normally like clam up on because I don't know how to
Mm,
answer their question in a way that is
mm,
actually aligned with me, that feels true to me. I know what they're looking
mm.
for. You know,
Right.
I know
Mm,
like what's the demographics that you do, how much are they making,
mm,
what gender, like I
mm.
know what they're looking for. What
Yes.
specific outcome did they get?
Mm,
Um, and when you just described a statesperson versus a career politician, it made me
mm,
feel like, oh, I got that. I'm like, oh, I'm leading a movement, right? And I
mm.
feel like
Yeah.
as a movement leader who has a business
Mm,
compared
mm,
to a serial entrepreneur, for example, or a
mm.
career entrepreneur,
Yeah. There
they're
you
like it's
go.
just that level of question is not
Mm,
at the level in which I am thinking about. That's not what winning means for me. That's not what the
yeah.
game is that I'm playing. So
Mm,
I want to make sure I reflect that back to you. While you were talking
mm,
about politicians,
mm.
I could clearly see where I have that distinction inside of me, where I'm like, there's something much
Yeah.
larger that I'm playing with.
Mm,
Yes, there are some like externalities that like need to
mm,
be addressed in both, but I think you use the word
mm.
motive. The motive is different,
Yes.
and so the questions are different. What do you take from
Right.
that?
Mm. Um, Whenever you're dealing with someone, you got to know the motive. Uh, how can I serve someone if I don't know why they are doing what they're doing? If I don't know why they are with me, I need to know the motive. And if their motives don't line up with mine, how can I serve them? Because I'm going this way and they're going that way. This is where the values base comes in. I need to know that the person I'm trying to coach has got values at the center of their focus. If it's just like you mentioned a serial entrepreneur, just go 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 go. At some point, someone's going to pay for your success. Someone else. They're going to kind of get the brunt of it. They're going to get the short end of the stick. We're going to step on someone's toes. It's going to happen when we are so focused on what we can gain. So we need to ask ourselves, do I want success or do I want significance? That's the difference. The difference in the significance is when there's the values and what difference am I making for that person? So this is where we need to know motives, because the motives, true success and significance comes when we have not just the right method. You know, a method is a skill, anybody can learn skills, but a motive is a thing of the heart. Someone once said, if someone has got a lot of skills, but they got a bad, excuse me, but they've got a bad attitude, you can't actually teach them anything because the attitude is wrong. So you can't really, they're not going to have that value. So skills are important, but motives really are, that's the big key, because someone who's got a right attitude, I can still teach them the skills. But someone who's got a bad attitude, you can't teach attitude. You can't teach attitude. You influence attitude. You influence. And over time, hopefully, the person, it kind of rubs off, you know, influence is the thing that rubs off. And so that's where motives are so vital when you are coaching people. When you've got to be coaching someone who's really also got the same values that you have.
Yeah,
You
so
know, I forgot your actual question. You spoke
yeah,
about your motives.
I'll bring back the question here in a bit,
Yeah.
but I want to pull out some things here, right? And
Yes.
the question I had was just like, what did you take from what I said? Like what was playing off from what you had? So there was no right or wrong way to answer that question. So
Okay.
yeah, so we're good on that. But you did bring in some distinctions that I want to just the highlight here for outliers. One of them was success versus significance, right?
Yes.
And I know I use the word success here a lot, and so that ended up being really interesting for me. Success versus significance, and then you also
Yes.
brought in method versus motive, right? You then
Yes.
tied method to skills, but both of those things have like they have the alliteration. Like it's a good, they're great distinctions to think through, because these
You're
are
right.
the reality is that, like, because I'm listening to this and I'm trying to understand it, just like you brought in career politician versus statesperson, you know, it's like on the
Yes.
surface they look exactly the same, but how you go about doing it makes all the difference in the world, you know.
Yes.
So like I want to make sure I slow down and call out those distinctions. Outliers, those are distinctions you get to play with all week. Like you can leave out
Yeah.
there and say, like, am I chasing success or am I looking for significance? Um,
Yeah.
what was interesting for me was, especially with the success and significance element,
Mm.
I tend to put my distinctions with using the word versus, um, and
Mm.
now I'm less like I see things less as like binary and more of like either a spectrum or on different levels. So
Mm.
like what's coming to me as you say this is like, what if there was a level above success? Like there's things that you
Mm.
can do that will make you successful, right? And you can
Mm.
do all those things, and there's a bucket of those
Yes.
things, but there's a
Mm.
higher level of success, which is called
Yes.
significance. And the things
Yes.
that you do there, you might have to leave some of this. You have to check enough of the boxes of success, but you have to
Yeah.
do it
Mm.
above and above that. So
Yes.
I'm kind of curious, like if we played with that idea of like significance being a higher
Mm.
level of success, what like
Mm.
does that play out for you and the people that you coach? Help me
Mm.
see that.
I want to just mention a quote that my brother is the CEO of the largest family-owned hardware store here in the Western Cape in South Africa. And he said one day, success is not how far you go, but who you take with you. And he was referring to significance. It was success. He was saying you can have success for yourself, but significance is there's that real success, if you will. Because you know what I believe? I believe everyone has got a little hole in their heart, and we try to fill it. And everyone really, whether they know it or not, wants significance. But we look for success and we're filling that, but the success never seems to fill the hole. But until we are going for the significance, we can't fill that hole. And so we keep trying to accumulate benefits, if you will, for ourselves, but it will never be enough until I take what I have and I begin to make a difference in other people's lives. And I begin to, like my brother said, take other people with me on that journey. And It kind of ties in with the motive, because here, this is a principle that I see playing out in life. It's played out over and over in my life. I think it's playing out in all our lives every day. This is this motive thing that you mentioned. There's motive, there's a method, and then there's an outcome. It's progressive. The motive is something I get in my heart. This is why I want to do this. I get this idea, I want to do this, and this is why I want to do it. And then it plays out. I begin to put action to it, and then there's a method involved. And at the end of it, I have success if I continue doing it. Now, when I'm focused on just, let's put the success and significance next to each other. If I'm focusing on myself, that's a wrong motive. So I can have all the methods, but a wrong motive. So the success part is more to do with the skill side, the method side. But significance says, I want to have a right motive for everything that I do. So significance is more tied in there by the motive, because that's the issue of the heart. We got to work with what's in our heart there. And so the motive is the heart part of it. The method is the skills part. And we need both of those to achieve good results, to achieve the thing that we really want to, so that at the end we feel that fulfillment that I said everyone's looking for, that hole we want to fill. So let's say someone, I mean, I know I've seen life examples. Part of my work is in a community where we are looking to transform the community. And I'm working with people, beautiful, amazing people, struggling financially, living under the breadline, what we call under the breadline. In other words, what they get in finances is nowhere near enough just to get by. A lot of struggles living amidst gangs and violence and house violence, lots of things, lots of social problems. And these are the most beautiful people you know. The motives are so sincere, so noble. They want to help their children. Their heart for their children, you see, they cry for their children. They don't want their children to get caught up in this violence and everything that's around them. But they struggle every day. They keep trying to make things work. They keep trying to get ahead, and they struggle and they struggle. And you know what? They've got the right motive, but they don't know how, the method. That's why they can't succeed. Do you know, the day you were conceived, you actually became a winner. There were millions of sperm going for that same egg, and you won. You won the race. So we are all born to win. All of us. We are all created for success. But why is it some people seem to get it and others don't? There's so many factors, and one of them is this principle that's working. So you've got good people, but they're struggling for really reaching fulfillment and success in life, or what I would call significance. When there's fulfillment is the significance, you get that fulfillment. So they're struggling because no one came to show them how to do it. And they're doing it the wrong way. They keep falling and falling, and they don't know how to get ahead. And then you've got the other person who's just, what was that phrase that you used? Entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. Yeah, I'm gunning for it, and I'm going to get there at whatever it costs. I don't care whose head I step on. I'm going to go for it. It's all about me. And that goes, and he's gone to study. He's got all the skills, and this person is they know how to get things done. It's like the bank robber, gets his team together, and he knows how to. I mean, they've been successful bank robberies. Why? Because they had skills. Was their motive good? No. So you got that person who's got all the skills, but a wrong motive. It's a selfish motive. And then the bank robber gets away with the money, and we think, well, look, he got success. He or she got success. How come? They had the wrong motive. But actually, they didn't get success, because for the rest of their lives, they've got to look over their shoulder. They can't buy a house with that money because it's going to be discovered. Where did they get the money? They don't have any friends because they can't trust anybody. The chances are any relationship they ever have is wrong because of the lifestyle that they live. So that's not really success. So the point I'm trying to make is we need the right motive and the skills. So it's good to have success skills. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not evil. The skills are not evil. But it's the heart that is operating the skills that can be evil. So we need to have a good motive, a right skills as well, and you put those together, then you will achieve the fulfillment and the significance that you are looking for, that everybody is looking for. I hope that clarifies the difference between success and significance.
It does. It does. I want to look at it at a different level too, here
Mm,
because like you have me like I know that you work with people who look to make like change on behalf of a nation, right? Whether it's happening
mm,
locally in their community
mm,
or
mm.
beyond, right? And
Yeah.
I reported we talked about this here that while you were talking about like shaping nations and you brought in like the whole like from the individual up to the nation, it also translated really simply for me when it came to business, whether
Mm.
like, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking I've
Mm,
worked as an employee, so I thought about it and from the career side of things,
mm,
like, and then also as a business owner myself. Uh,
mm,
so I think for me, like one of the big things here, I would love to be on whatever the equivalent of statesman is for me in my
mm.
business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm,
and and so there's components here where it's like you said earlier that I guess the thing for me is I want to look at that distinction between like it's harder to be able to like to succeed
mm,
as a statesperson, like coming
mm,
from the motive, coming from the values, than it is to like let's just say focus on the method and just do the
mm,
things, right? So I
mm,
want to focus on that part for any of us outliers that are like, look, we're doing a good job, you
mm.
know, um,
Yes.
and
Mm,
now, but like we gave like essentially, I want to see. I am deeply interested, at least even for myself here, about how to bridge motive and success because most of the time it feels like if you have like it's all motive world and it's like all right, let's get to the
mm.
heart, you get to the
Yeah.
heart, and then it's like, oh, when we come
Mm,
to it, we can't actually get the things done or the results pale. And I
mm,
guess my question is, if I'm gonna be succinct, took me a while to get to it, so apologize for that, but well,
mm.
no apologies,
That's
but like
okay.
let me
All good.
acknowledge that. Um, how do you bridge the gap? How do you bridge the gap so that you can be so that like you can bring both of those two things together? Because
Mm,
I really do believe in what you're saying, and I think there's something
mm,
about the the more method focused, the method first
mm,
stuff is
mm.
like you said, very loud. It's very
Yeah.
much what we see, and we see examples of
Yes.
that over and over again. And then we look in,
Yes.
you know, I just would love to see like for those people who are doing both. What's the bridge
Mm,
for them, and how do you support them to bridge
mm.
that?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, the motive is more to do with the heart. And the heart, like I said, the heart is, you can't teach someone a good attitude. It's influenced. Uh, and we need to know who we put ourselves around. We've got to be around, we've got to have people who are influencing us, who have the values that line up with the values that we want. Um, John Maxwell often says, if you're the biggest person in the room, or the one that's ahead of everybody, then you're in the wrong room.
Mm,
Got to be in a room where others are ahead of you, because that's where we get pulled. And that's the same with values. We've got to be in the room with people who are values wise, we are aspiring to who they are. And you don't have to, when I say in the room today, we are in a room together now, although we're on the opposite sides of the continent, of the globe at least. Um, but in history, there will be people. For instance, Martin Luther King Jr. is one of my influences, and I listen to his messages, the recordings they have, and I read about him to get the influence of who he was. So in today's world, it doesn't even have to be someone who you know personally. You can have that influence. Of course, as a Maxwell trainer, John Maxwell is one of my influences. And he's not just a team, it's a team. So you need to find that person who's going to be, or people who will be your influencers. And we've got to shut the noise out, because there's so many people speaking. We can't hear everybody. We can't listen to everybody. And I would say, to line your motives, to have that motive right, pick your influencers
mm,
and stay with them, and let them influence you. And when it comes to motive, of course, we said that was more the skill side of it. When I talk to in the community where I do my extensive, my work is always tied in with evaluating and research. There's a lot of research there of how these communities operate. And important thing I always explain to them is that you've got to speak. If let's say you want to learn something, and you know someone who knows, they've already achieved that, they've already done that, they're already working in that position of skill. And you got to go ask them, listen, help me, tell me about you, take them for coffee or visit them and ask them, will they give you some time? If they don't want to give you time, you actually don't want their time. If they're willing to give you their time, then great, take advantage of that time. So people often think that someone who's in that position of skill, they won't have time for you. Now, if they don't have time for you, you don't want to hear from them, because they're going to give you the skills without the motive, without the right motive. Because a person who is truly successful, they will want to show you. They will want to tell you. They won't be selfish. So that is important. How you get that motive right is it's having that people around you with the right heart that you are wanting to grow in. And oopsie, excuse me, that was not meant to happen. And then also people who know how to get there to where you want to go, the ones who want to share with you, they will help you. And if they don't want to share it, it's okay. Great. You didn't waste your time. You actually don't want to hear from them. You don't even want to be influenced by them. Run, stay away. Be thankful that they said no, because that was the revealer. We're all being revealed all the time, actually. That's quite a sobering thought, isn't it? And so that was the revealer. They look successful. They look successful, but they're not really successful.
So Delfina, I appreciate that this conversation that we're having. We're at time right now, so like there's two components I want to do right quick. We're gonna wrap up our conversation here.
Yes.
One, outliers, like this distinction of statesperson versus the career person. I think that like there's something in there that I really want to make sure that you don't like you dive into. And there's someone else that you know that is playing, that wants to play that elevated game, that wants to be like that is that values driven leader, that like has the values in place, has the motive in place, and it's like, but my skills are not at the level that are necessary to be able to make this like to create the level of significant change that I'm looking to create.
Yes.
Like do them a favor, pass this episode on to them, right? Find one person, pass this episode to them so they get a chance to like hear and be a part of this conversation with us and just hear some of the distinctions that we're being played with, and so they can build from there. All right. I would appreciate it. And I think it will help. I think it's enough, if that makes sense. Like just one person, I think we're good. Delfina, we're at a close here. I think that we've given a lot for outliers to think about and to play with here. Like you've given me a lot to think about, even because you spoke in the language of distinctions, which opens up new ways of seeing things. My question would be for you specifically, what's one insight that you got from this conversation that has opened up a new way of things for you seeing things?
An insight that I
And it's okay if you did not get an insight. It's okay too.
I hope I gave insights to all those listening.
You did check the box. That's covered. We're good on that. But
if anything, my resolve for influencing the political arena is actually stronger now than it was, not just today, but the first time I spoke to you. My resolve is actually, I feel like it's gone up a few steps. It's gone up a few bars. And I need that, actually. That's something I need. Because it was there, but you kind of made me talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about it. And because you speak about it, but it's like it's in the future. if I can say something, you've kind of brought it in more into the present for me, especially that it was in that feedback I gave you, where it was closer than what I thought. And yes, if that's an insight, I can
Look,
say that.
I appreciate you saying that, like, because that is one of the things that happens in my world. I bring the future into the present. Right? I say model the
Yeah.
future now, right?
Mm,
People are like, I've never been on a podcast. I'm like, great, I have a podcast. Come on. I've never done a podcast panel. Well, you just
mm,
finished one. You can never say that, like, and we're basically looking to say, like, what is it that you actually want? What if you didn't need all the other steps involved? What if you were already ready? Or what if you wanted to go and build skills in the space that actually it applies to? Right now,
Yes,
And so I see you,
right.
Delfina, like one of the things, allies, you don't know this, but Delfina just stepped into this. Like
Mm,
you're seeing this in action. And I'm
yeah.
glad to be in a space where we gotta continuously let the world know what
Mm,
you are about and continuously help you like step into that and bring those
mm,
associations in there. It's no small deal what you're doing. I appreciate you living
yeah,
it out loud. Right. And then definitely, if anyone
that's
wants to
wonderful.
continue down the journey with you, they're a statesperson in whether they're in the political arena, they're a statesperson
Mm,
and a leader who wants to apply it to whatever they care about here.
mm,
How can they best
yes.
continue with you?
The best and the easiest thing I can give them to just write down now would be to just go to my website, bemadewhole.co.za, and via the contact form. That is probably, I would say, the quickest way. I mean, I'm on social media and all I'm on social media and all the other handles that I've got, YouTube and all that. But the quickest way to get me to respond to you is via the website. Just go on the contact form. It's got categories, and if you want to arrange a meeting with me, you just click on this the category, and I will pick that up. I answer those, most of those actually. I answer personally. So
All right.
that's the best way. bemadewhole.co.za.
Perfect. Thank you so much here, Delphina. It's been a pleasure talking to you. You've given me some things to think about myself. I feel like I can go through my day
Good.
differently and the rest of this year.
Mm,
So I appreciate you and thank you for showing up the way that you
yes.
do. All right. Outliers.
Okay.
Until the next
Thank
time we
you.
talk, remember to be you on purpose. Journey on.
Mm.